Hello and welcome to all. This is another rendition of How to Get Into. This time we're going to be talking about a beloved and very popular TV show called Doctor Who. Doctor Who originally came out in 1963 and lasted up until the 80s. I'm never quite sure exactly when it fully ended, but it had a very long span of time before it was actually cancelled. Then they tried to revive it with a movie, and now here we are to 2005, and that is what we're reviewing. In this review, there's a few things you're going to have to expect. 1. References. My computer's dying. Secondly, I'm just here to review Series 1 as it is. Does it hold up? Is it a good show to get into so you're not overwhelmed with abundance of information? That's better. Back in 2005, I was not one of the many who actually watched the premiere of Doctor Who, and to be honest, there was kind of a good reason for it. I really wasn't into the concept of Doctor Who. I didn't even know what it was about, so I kind of had to slowly get into it myself. Mind you, the pilot episode wasn't the one that hooked me in the first place. So here's what you need to know. When the Doctor gets hurt, he regenerates. He doesn't get hurt and go, oh, I've got a scab on my arm, new person. It's more like when he's critically injured. As he goes about, he does pick up people along the way that is interested in what he is, and that is to see the universe, right the wrongs of foes, and make allies along the way. Usually when there's companions, it's most likely a female. Not always, but you get the idea. And it keeps a sense of adventure. It's just one of those shows that has an abundance of information and adventure to tell you in different aspects and in different ways because it's a constantly changing show. So this brings me to the pilot episode of Rose. Rose is the premiere episode in 2005, and it stars Christopher Eccleston, Billie Piper, and many others that are along in this episode. Now, while the villain is a kind of a generic, let's take over the world type thing, the Doctor has a way of explaining how and why it wants to take over. Rose is immediately sucked into this world, and her entire life turns upside down. The episode itself is funny, it's informative, it does give you a sense of mystery to the Doctor, and while it's through the perspective of Rose herself, she doesn't really know what's going on, but she is strong-willed enough to say that she will get the answers she needs, because, you know, the Doctor keeps popping up in her life anyway. The pilot episode's a little dorky, it's a little offbeat, and it has some dated special effects, but I can definitely tell you that this is the basic form of what Doctor Who was back in the past, and it is what it is now because it didn't want to try and impress you. It's not as exciting enough to get you hooked in because it wasn't for me. But the one thing that we do need to cover are the foes that the Doctor goes up against. There is a vast amount of different kind of villains that this Doctor has, but there's one in particular that is kind of like the Joker to the Batman, and that are the Daleks. Exterminate! They're a big deal. They have a vast amount of history at this point that the Doctor does describe as one of the most tragic downfalls of his life and of his kind. Living plastic like mannequins walking around. Imagine that. A human being who's actually just nothing but a stretched out piece of skin. Charles Dickens with ghosts. This one's a very interesting one. Green aliens that just want to do something to Earth. Then we finally meet the Daleks. Things in satellites, you know, broadcasting. Simon Pegg's in it. For you Simon Pegg fans. Then we have some conflicts with time, and that is in the more personal area for Rose. So this is where you truly get to know Rose more than anything else. Are you my mummy? It's one of my favorites. I won't ruin it for you. Trust me, you'll love it. You remember those green creatures I told you about? Well, they come back, and, you know, stuff happens. So the finale happens. What do I need to explain about the finale? It is personal, it's big, it is mythology building, and is also a great introduction to a foe, the Daleks, that I told you about, for the 9th Doctor. It's pretty weird, and fun, and crazy, and downright fantastic. This is more or less where I cannot say any more than that. The finale is one of those things that kind of gets you intensified because of the reason This is Christopher Eccleston's only season, so it says a lot. I actually quite enjoyed this finale. So, how is the Doctor as a being, as the actor who plays him? What's he like? Is he good? And here we go. Honestly, in his single season performance, he has such a commanding performance and presence, a very good sense of humor along with his sass and wit. He can be irritable at points, but he's probably one of the most down-to-earth Doctors there is. Of course, I am not miscounting all the previous incarnations or the ones before, but one thing at a time. Eccleston sets the show off right, generating his own tone. It fits in well with the stories that surround him or the ones he creates himself. We could have used the second season from him and we probably would have loved him even more for it. Billie Piper actually really knocks it out of the park with her performance, but with her performance, as amazing as it is, it does fall short at points. But that's not her fault. The situations the character is given is sometimes leaving Rose underused. Some situations she's required to do too much for a lower situation, sometimes nothing happens at all with her, and sometimes she's alluded to as a plot device. The great side to all of this is that you're only given an equal blend, so it's never really focused on just one side. You get a little bit of everything. So you're given different aspects of her throughout the entire show. To say that the show had a terrific start out would be a bit of an exaggeration. The season, looking back on it, is much better now of the appreciation that is built up over time. But this is definitely a slower season that builds up as it goes along. It gets better and better, and as you go up the episodes, it's like it gets better with age. Kind of like a fine wine. In the end, I would say Doctor Who Series 1 gets a B+. So those are my thoughts on Doctor Who Series 1. Everything that you're going to see here transitions into Season 2, which happens to introduce David Tennant as the next Doctor. So, what the heck is going on? God! Yeah. Oh! Okay, that was weird. And screwdriver! I found it. Okay. We're good. I didn't change face, I changed clothes. Sorry about this, but anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If there's anything that you would have wanted me to say, please let me know down below. I would love to hear about it, and I will see you guys next time.